sir.
So are you finding that a lot of people are just realizing now, oh wait, I don't have gigabit switches, I don't have
That's right.
these higher firewalls, so then they're kind of forcing them to get all that by saying, hey, if you get this, we'll get
That's
the
right.
speeds? Okay.
That's exactly right. A lot of folks will have gigabit that their servers are connected to, but they won't necessarily have all the desktops, won't have all the wireless access points. I mean, AC doesn't get you all the way to gigabit, but it gets you close. Meraki just announced that they have Wave 2 AC adapters, so that's a brand new thing. It's pretty neat. You'll get some. I think they can get as much as 2.5 gigabit speeds over the wirelessly, which is pretty amazing. But the cost is much less amazing. But this is big, and this is the kind of thing that, okay, Google Fiber's not here yet. Start planning, start researching, start getting it into your budgets. Think about do you know what assets you have and which ones you want to replace? You need to start that if you haven't gone there yet. And then the other thing is you may have a firewall that has a gigabit WAN port, gigabit ports, but if you actually turn on stateful packet inspection, some of the other features you really want to turn on, you may actually only get 300 megabits or less because the processing power and what that firewall can push through is just limited. So you may get, and I suggest a few firewalls that if you've got a very small office, probably will work okay, but you won't necessarily get gigabit unless you spend several thousands of dollars on a pretty beefy firewall that has the processing power to be able to inspect those packets and move them forward. So a couple examples of some very inexpensive options that will get you at least gigabit connection, but probably won't let you fully experience gigabit speeds, are like the FortiGate 30D and 60D. They're not that expensive, under $1,000 for a robust firewall. There is a yearly fee with almost every firewall because you've got to stay current. It's got to be under warranty in case there's a failure. And so FortiGate we find is at a really great price point. A lot of folks like Sonic walls, and there's a lot of other options. There's not, whatever firewall that you have a preference for, or your staff is trained to support, is going to be just fine as long as you start thinking about models that can really support gigabit. So this slide is probably subject to be completely changed after we talk to the purple guys. Just as a quick little asterisk there. But these Ubiquities, if you guys have not heard of Ubiquity for an access point, wireless access point, you need to check these guys out. It is super cheap. And the only problem they really have with Ubiquities is it's hard to find them. It takes a while to get them. A lot of folks are out of stock. But these are fantastic, super easy to set up, and you can get wireless AC level speeds in your organization, and you can saturate it really nicely. These are great. Really easy to manage, really easy to maintain and update. They do come out with 6 or 7 significant upgrades every single year. So you'll want to make sure they're getting patched and set to auto patch, or if you want to manage them so you can control the patches, make sure you think about that as well. Ubiquity also makes some pretty sweet gigabit switches. Most of their switches pretty much have power over Ethernet, so really nice if you've got VoIP phones or you want to plug in those access points. It work great. Prices are really cheap to get gigabit switches. HP is also great. HP has the lifetime warranty, and they're fantastic switches. Honestly, a switch, whatever you prefer. This isn't a critical piece of equipment where you've got to stay with one particular vendor. But Ubiquities are layer 3 switches, which is pretty nice.
So they're managed switches then?
That's right.
Okay.
There is a nicer managed switch that has a 48 port managed switch that has the 10 gigabit uplink, so you can really stack. That's around 1,080, I think, roughly. So I didn't have that price up there, but it's not bad. It's pretty awesome. So if you're thinking about upfitting your entire network, firewall, switches, access points, you see it's not as much as it may have seemed at first blush. It's still a pile of money to upgrade your infrastructure, but you can do this piecemeal. So things to think about. But you also have to think down to the wiring. So you may find that inside the walls of your lovely facility, the wiring is not that great. Now, Cat 5e was a standard for a long time. It will support gigabit, but it supports gigabit when the cables are nice and fresh and they were installed by someone who knew what they were doing and they didn't kink the wires and encourage oxidation and degradation and breaking apart those twisted pairs to create electrical interference. So be cautious that you may find that your walls do not support gigabit. That will be a little bit more difficult. Yes, sir.
Is there a way to survey that on either end of the cable and
Yes.
assess
If your
its
cabling,
robustness or whatever?
yeah, if your cabling vendor cannot do that, let me know, and I can tell you a cabling vendor that can, who are great. My name's Brightstar. Great company. Any other questions? That's a good one. Okay, so also think about the workstations, especially for nonprofits. You get a lot of refurbished machines, you get a lot of hand-me-downs. They may only have 10100 links on the back of the machines. And I'm not advocating a USB adapter, but twice as fast, even if it's not 10 times as fast getting up to gigabit speeds, is still something that your end users will experience and feel and appreciate. And sometimes that's all you can do. So all the different things you need to think about. Don't just think, okay, we need the firewall. Think through the entire network stack and all the different things that connect to each other. So in sum, I think Google Fiber really does change everything. It's going to be another wave of innovation, but it's also going to encourage a lot of businesses to invest in IT purchases with network, and get a nice little refresh cycle. But also, I don't know how much love is in the room for the various internet service providers, but a lot of folks are really looking forward to kick their ISP to the curb for various reasons. And sadly, it's one of those businesses like payroll. You don't get any, no one hugs their payroll person when the paycheck comes through, but they yell at them when there's an error. It's kind of like that with ISPs too. So they get blamed for the outage, but no one says, hey, good job, internet was up on Monday, thanks. No one does that. So I think this is going to be a big deal, and I just can't wait to see what people come up with and what kind of new business models can actually be supported. I have no idea. And I don't think anyone in here, well, if you do have that idea, awesome. I look forward to being part of this community with you. So when thinking ahead, do not sign a 5-year ISP contract right now. Please don't. That'd be super sad. There's a lot of innovation and change that's going to happen in this space. Don't necessarily go month to month, but don't just avoid long-term commitments for just about anything right now. You may actually find that everything's right, Google Fiber's come into your building, and you've got all the equipment, but your landlord refuses to allow you to install cabling, so you just can't take advantage of it. That might mean that could be one of those things that is a justification for moving. So pretty much right now, I would just try to hold off on a lot of long-term investments, because this is going to change a lot of things, and it'd be good to be nimble right now.